Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is living a life you dream of. Not because they're better, not because they have more time or resources, but because they've chosen to be present. Because they've chosen to stop numbing. We don't scroll because we're lazy. We scroll because it's safe. It's predictable. It keeps us from feeling the full weight of discomfort, loneliness, uncertainty, even joy. But here's the thing, you cannot selectively numb emotion. When you numb the hard stuff, you also numb the beauty. You trade real life for a highlight reel and deep connection for a dopamine hit that never truly satisfies. Scrolling is a numbing mechanism, a way we distract ourselves from the weight of our own thoughts, emotions, and fears. It's not just about entertainment or staying informed, it's about avoidance. We pick up our phones and start scrolling not because we need to, but because it gives us an escape from discomfort, from boredom, from the hard work of being fully present in our own lives. It becomes the thing we do when we don't want to sit with our emotions, when we don't want to confront our doubts, when we don't want to feel the uncertainty of what's next. But here's the hard truth. You cannot selectively numb emotions. When you numb the difficult feelings, anxiety, loneliness, stress, you also numb joy, connection, and meaning. We've convinced ourselves that scrolling is harmless, a break, a way to unwind, but it's so much more insidious than that. It chips away at our ability to engage with reality. It keeps us in a constant state of distraction, never fully here, never fully there. The moment something feels uncomfortable, silence, uncertainty, a fleeting thought that challenges us, we reach for the screen. We don't even realize we're doing it. It's become second nature, a reflex, a conditioned response to discomfort. And slowly, without meaning to, we lose our ability to sit with ourselves. We lose our ability to be still, to process, to reflect, to simply exist without a constant flood of external input. And here's where it gets even trickier. Scrolling doesn't just numb us in the moment. It rewires our brains over time. The more we engage in passive consumption, the harder it becomes to focus, to engage deeply with anything, to find fulfillment in the slower, more meaningful aspects of life. It conditions us to crave constant stimulation, to need something new every few seconds, to be unable to sit through the natural lulls of real conversations or the quiet moments that make up so much of our lives. We start feeling restless without it, irritable when we don't have easy access to that endless feed of distraction. And that's when we know we aren't using it anymore. It's using us. It also convinces us that we're engaged when in reality, we're detached. We scroll through stories, updates, glimpses of other people's lives, thinking we're staying connected, thinking we're in the loop, but we're not actually connecting. Connection requires presence. It requires depth, vulnerability, shared experiences that happen in real time. Scrolling through someone's curated version of their life is not the same as being part of it. And yet, we substitute real interactions with digital ones because they feel easier, because they don't require the same level of emotional investment, because they don't come with the same risks. But they also don't come with the same rewards. So much of our time disappears into that mindless, endless motion of swiping up, up, up. Minutes turn into hours, days blur together, and at the end of it all, what do we have to show for it? Do we feel more fulfilled, more inspired, more connected to the people we love? Or do we feel empty, distracted, a little more detached from ourselves and the world around us? The problem isn't just the time we lose while scrolling. It's what we lose in the process. We lose the moments of stillness where creativity is born. We lose the space to reflect, to sit with our thoughts long enough to understand them. We lose the ability to be fully present in our own lives because we're constantly watching everyone else's. And we lose the chance to build something meaningful with our time, our relationships, our passions. our sense of purpose, because all of it gets drowned out by the noise of passive consumption. Breaking the cycle is hard. It requires awareness. It requires intentionality. It requires a willingness to feel the discomfort we've been avoiding, to sit in the silence that feels so foreign after years of drowning it out. It means reclaiming our attention, setting boundaries, making the conscious choice to engage with life, rather than just watching it scroll by. It's not about never using social media or never watching videos. It's about making sure we're using them with purpose, rather than letting them use us. At the end of the day, our lives are made up of the moments we are fully present for, the real conversations, the deep belly laughs, the quiet, sacred pauses where we feel completely at peace. None of those moments happen while we're scrolling. They happen when we choose to put the phone down, to step away from the distractions, to fully engage with the life in front of us. Because that's the life we'll remember. That's the life that matters. We live in a time where we can connect with anyone, anywhere, at any moment. A message, a comment, a like. It all feels like connection. It feels like we are keeping up with people, staying involved, maintaining relationships. But beneath the surface, something isn't right. Because for all this constant interaction, why do we still feel so lonely? Why do we still crave something deeper, something more real? The truth is, so much of what we call connection is just a well-designed illusion. It gives us just enough of a hit to feel like we are part of something, but not enough to truly satisfy the need for real human relationships. We scroll through curated versions of people's lives, seeing their highlights, their best moments, their filtered experiences, and we think we know them. We think we're close. But knowing what someone had for dinner or where they vacationed last summer is not the same as knowing their struggles, their fears, their hopes, and the things that keep them up at night. We convince ourselves that engagement through a screen is the same as presence, but it's not. You can watch someone's entire life unfold on social media and still have no idea how they actually feel when they are alone at the end of the day. You can send messages back and forth all day and still never have a real, vulnerable, face-to-face moment with them. Real connection requires presence, depth, and vulnerability. It requires sitting with someone, looking them in the eyes, feeling their energy, hearing the things they don't say out loud. It requires patience, effort, and time. But social media and constant digital interaction have trained us to prefer convenience over depth. A quick reply, a double tap, an emoji. It's easy, it's fast. It doesn't require much of us, but that's also the problem. Connection isn't supposed to be effortless. It's supposed to be something we invest in, something we nurture, something we fight for. When we replace deep, meaningful relationships with surface-level interactions, we lose something fundamental to being human. And it's not just about our friendships or personal relationships. It's about how we engage with the world. We are more connected than ever, yet more divided than ever. We consume people's opinions in 280-character posts. We debate in comment sections, reducing complex human experiences into arguments that lack empathy and understanding. We feel like we are part of something, but in reality, we are isolated, stuck in echo chambers, engaging in interactions that are performative rather than transformative. We mistake visibility for intimacy, attention for affection, and likes for love. There's a reason why, despite all this connectivity, loneliness has become an epidemic. There's a reason why so many people feel unseen, unheard, and disconnected. It's because what we are doing isn't actually connection. It's performance. It's presentation. It's an attempt to fill the void of real relationships with something that looks like it but doesn't quite feel like it. And deep down, we feel it when we put our phones down after hours of scrolling and realize we don't actually feel any closer to anyone. We feel it when we go through a tough time and realize we don't know who to call. We feel it when we crave presence, but settle for proximity through a screen. Breaking out of this cycle requires intention. It requires us to choose depth over convenience, to prioritize real conversations over quick exchanges, to be present with people in a way that allows them to be fully seen and known. It requires us to recognize when we are substituting real connection with digital validation, and to have the courage to step away from the illusion and into the messiness of real, unfiltered, imperfect relationships. It means calling instead of texting, showing up instead of just commenting, listening instead of just reacting. It means valuing presence over performance and depth over display. At the end of our lives, we won't remember the number of likes we got or the number of followers we had. We will remember the moments when we felt truly seen, the moments when someone sat with us in silence when we were hurting, the moments when laughter filled a room, not a comment section, the moments when love was expressed, not just posted about. Those are the moments that matter. And those are the moments that don't happen through a screen. Courage is never the easy choice. Comfort is predictable, safe, familiar. It asks nothing of us. It lets us stay where we are, doing what we know, avoiding risk, avoiding failure, avoiding discomfort. But comfort is also a trap. It keeps us small. It convinces us that staying where we are is better than stepping into the unknown. It tells us that fear is a stop sign rather than a signal, that we are on the edge of something meaningful. And if we listen to it for too long, we wake up one day realizing that we never really lived, that we let fear decide the course of our lives, that we chose certainty over possibility. Courage, on the other hand, asks for everything. It demands that we walk into situations where we might fail, where we might be rejected, where we might fall flat on our faces. It asks us to speak up when it would be easier to stay quiet, to try when it would be easier to quit, to step forward when it would be easier to hide. It is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. And that willingness, that choice to lean into discomfort rather than away from it, that is where growth happens. That is where real life begins. We all have a place in our lives where we are choosing comfort over courage. Maybe it's the job that no longer challenges us but feels too risky to leave. Maybe it's the relationship that doesn't fulfill us but feels too hard to walk away from. Maybe it's the dream we keep putting off because failure feels too unbearable to face. We tell ourselves we will take the leap when we feel ready, when we are more confident, when we have more certainty. But courage doesn't work that way. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from action. The only way to become braver is to do the thing that scares us, over and over, until it no longer does. Choosing courage means making peace with discomfort. It means understanding that fear isn't something to eliminate, but something to move with. It means recognizing that every great thing we want, a meaningful career, deep relationships, self-respect, a life that feels aligned, exists on the other side of fear. It means understanding that failure isn't a reflection of our worth, but proof that we were willing to try. That rejection isn't the end, but redirection. That discomfort isn't something to run from, but something to lean into because it's the only way forward. And yes, courage comes with risk. There will be setbacks. There will be moments where you doubt yourself, where you wonder if you made the wrong choice, where you long for the ease of the comfort zone you left behind. But there will also be moments where you realize that you are stronger than you thought, that you can handle more than you believed, that the fear that once paralyzed you no longer holds power over you. And that feeling, that knowing that you faced something that scared you and walked through it anyway, that is what makes life worth living. The truth is, comfort feels good in the moment, but it leads to regret. Courage feels terrifying in the moment, but it leads to pride. A year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you won't remember the days you stayed in your comfort zone. You will remember the moments when you were brave, the times when you spoke your truth, even when your voice shook, The times when you said yes to something that scared you. The times when you bet on yourself even when no one else did. The times when you took the leap, not because you weren't afraid, but because you refused to let fear be the thing that made your decisions for you. And that's the choice we face every single day. Will we choose what is easy, or will we choose what is right? Will we choose comfort, or will we choose courage? Will we stay where we are, or will we step forward into the life we are meant to live? Because the truth is, courage isn't a single dramatic moment. It's a daily decision, a choice to show up, to try, to risk, to believe. And when we make that choice, when we choose courage over comfort, we don't just change our own lives. We give others permission to do the same. We create a world where bravery is contagious, where people chase what sets their souls on fire, where fear isn't the thing that holds us back, but the thing that reminds us we are alive. So let this be the year you choose courage, the year you stop waiting for the fear to disappear and move forward anyway, the year you stop settling for what is easy and start stepping into what is possible. Because comfort might feel safe, but courage is where life begins. And at the end of it all, when you look back on your life, let it be a story of bravery, not regret. Let it be a story of all the times you chose to be bold, all the times you chose to show up, all the times you chose to live. Time is the most precious resource we have. It is finite, fleeting, and once it's gone, it never comes back. Yet too often we squander it, wasting hours, days, even years on things that don't matter, on distractions that only serve to numb us or keep us stuck in a cycle of busyness. We fill our days with the trivial, the urgent, the meaningless, and in doing so we lose sight of what truly matters. Our time, the one thing we cannot get more of, slips through our fingers while we chase things that don't nourish us, that don't propel us forward. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but it's what we do with them that determines the shape of our lives. How often do we find ourselves saying, "I don't have enough time"? We tell ourselves this when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel like the demands of life are too much, when we are juggling too many commitments, too many obligations, and too many distractions. But the truth is, we all have enough time. The question is, what are we doing with the time we have? Are we investing it in the things that matter most? Or are we letting it slip away, distracted by the noise of life, by the things that seem urgent but aren't important? When we treat our time as something that is endlessly renewable, we lose our sense of urgency and purpose. We begin to think that we have all the time in the world, so we put off what really matters. We push aside our dreams, our passions, our relationships, because we believe there will always be another opportunity, another moment to focus on what's important. But the truth is, time doesn't wait for us to figure it out. It keeps moving forward, and before we know it, we look up and realize how much of it we've wasted. Our time is our power because it is the foundation of everything we do. Every decision we make, every action we take, every relationship we nurture is shaped by how we choose to spend our time. Time is the ultimate form of self-respect. When we choose to spend it wisely, when we choose to invest it in things that bring us joy, growth, and fulfillment, we honor our potential. When we waste it on things that don't serve us, time is the only thing that cannot be replenished, and when we realize this, we begin to treat it with the reverence it deserves. To use our time as our power means being intentional about how we spend it. It means choosing what we give our energy to rather than letting life happen to us. It means taking responsibility for how we invest our hours, how we prioritize our days, and how we say no to the things that don't align with our values and our goals. It means letting go of the things that drain us, that hold us back, that don't move us toward the life we want to create. One of the biggest obstacles to using our time effectively is distraction. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with messages, notifications, and demands that pull us away from the present moment. Our phones, our social media feeds, our endless to-do lists, they all fight for our attention. And if we aren't careful, we find ourselves lost in these distractions, wasting precious moments scrolling, multitasking, and checking off tasks without ever truly focusing on what matters. When we allow ourselves to be distracted, we give away our time without even realizing it. We give away our power. To take control of our time, we must become aware of these distractions and learn how to eliminate them. We need to create boundaries around how we spend our time, whether it's limiting screen time, saying no to unnecessary commitments, or setting aside specific times for rest and rejuvenation. We must stop treating time as something that's always in surplus and start recognizing it for what it is, a finite, invaluable resource that we can use to create the life we truly want. In the end, it's not about how much time we have, it's about how we use it. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but it's what we choose to do with those hours that defines us. Will we waste them on distractions, on things that don't matter, or will we use them to create something meaningful? Will we spend our time on things that drain us or on things that empower us? Will we make the most of each moment, each opportunity, each day? The key to unlocking the power of time is intention. When we approach our time with intention, we make every moment count. We stop allowing time to slip away unnoticed, and instead, we begin to use it to shape the life we want to live. We stop waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions and start making the most of the moments we have. Time is our power, and when we treat it with the respect and intention it deserves, we create a life that reflects our deepest values, our truest desires, and our most powerful potential. In conclusion, time is the one resource we all share equally, yet it's also the one we often treat as though we have an endless supply. But the reality is that time is fleeting and irreplaceable. How we choose to spend it shapes the course of our lives. When we use our time intentionally, we unlock its true power, creating opportunities for growth, connection, and fulfillment. The distractions, the busyness, the endless scrolling, these are the things that steal our time and ultimately our potential. By being mindful of how we use every moment, by prioritizing what truly matters, we reclaim our power. The life we want to live is not found in tomorrow's promises or yesterday's regrets, but in the choices we make today. So let's treat our time with the reverence it deserves, making it the foundation for the meaningful, purposeful life we are capable of creating. Because in the end, our time is our power, and it's up to us to use it wisely.